Well, for more on this and for the rest of how the campaign is travelling, we're joined now by Queensland Premier Anna Bligh. Welcome to the program. Can I start by asking you about this Bob Katter advertisement attacking Campbell Newman over his past position on gay marriage? What do you think of the ad? You would have seen it by now.
I've seen it once, David, and I've described it today as both offensive and bizarre, and probably no surprise in either of those things from Bob Katter. But can I make the point that the reason this is even an issue in the campaign is entirely of Mr Newman's making. It is simply because he has refused over and over again to give a clear answer on this issue that he can now be accused of hypocrisy on it. It is a difficult issue, I accept that, but Mr Newman has tried to, if you like, walk both sides of the fence, and it's caught up with him.
Well, let me get to the tone of your attack on Campbell Newman, not so much on this issue, but over his family business dealings in particular. You focused on this heavily at the campaign launch yesterday, and previously in Parliament, under parliamentary privilege, you've gone so far as to suggest he'll end up in jail. You've not retracted that or apologised for that comment, but what possible grounds do you have for making this claim?
Well, David, I made that claim in the heat of parliamentary debate. The next day I made the point that my rhetoric might have been a bit passionate, but I don't regret for 1 minute being passionate about what used to be the case in Queensland and not wanting to take us back there. Mr Newman, as you would expect, says these ads are nothing more than smear. But what I notice is that he has not refuted one single assertion that is made in the ads. He hasn't denied any of the facts. These ads go directly to a number of companies. His family between them own 12 separate companies. A number of them are property development companies that saw land upzoned or rezoned while Mr Newman was Lord Mayor. These are very serious and reasonable questions to be asking of someone who aspires to hold the highest position in the state government.
But it's one thing to ask questions, it's another to make accusations and suggest that someone should end up in jail. Now, clearly Labor's been digging around on this for a while. Is there any evidence that he's done wrong, broken any law, or would end up in jail?
Well, let me make the point that a number of these revelations, and we're starting to see them on an almost daily basis, are stories that have been broken by some of our senior political reporters here in the major dailies in Queensland and in the national newspaper. And it appears that by and large these stories are being brought forward by neighbourhood groups, by individuals who feel aggrieved because they were part of objecting to some of these developments when they were approved, when the rezonings were done. These are developments that in many cases did not comply with the neighbourhood plan. And people objected to them at the time. It's only recently that they've found out that the company that owned the land, that got the benefit of the rezoning, was a Campbell Newman family company. So you can understand why neighbours are angry.
Just getting back to that question again, is there any evidence he's broken any law, yes or no?
Well, we can't answer that until Mr Newman answers some of the questions. These revelations, some of them have only come out in the last 2 weeks, David, so whether or not you can test them is difficult when it's only been in the last couple of weeks. But Mr Newman won't answer the questions. And in the absence of those answers, I think more and more people are asking questions about him. In fact, he gets very angry when people suggest that his family's personal finances are anybody else's business. But in this country, if you want to run for the high office, it doesn't matter who you are, your personal business becomes public information.
And today you've announced plans to trial planning panels in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, which will consider development decisions by councils. Tell me about this. Is it also aimed at trying to highlight Campbell Newman's time as Lord Mayor?
Well, I made the point yesterday. Mr Newman is now trying to wriggle his way out of these questions by saying that he will sell all of the interests that he and his family have in some 12 companies. And I think he misses the point. The question isn't about what those companies and what he might do with them in the future. It's about what's already been done, and some of this has happened over a number of years while he's been the Lord Mayor of the city. And if he thinks it's inappropriate to own shares or be directors of these companies now, then it wasn't appropriate to do it when he had all of the opportunities to rezone and approve development applications when he was Lord Mayor. What these panels are designed to do, and they're They're not unique in Australia. I don't pretend to have, be the policy initiator of these. In Western Australia, under Premier Colin Barnett, they have become a very regular feature of council planning decisions, and I understand there are a number of them in South Australia under the South Australian Labor government. And basically it's about putting in a panel of independent experts that provide advice to councils before elected members make decisions on major developments. Because in a very big growing city like Brisbane and like the cities like the Gold Coast, there's a lot of concern in neighbourhoods about the changing face of our suburbs. People make objections, they want to be able to appeal. Mr Newman has already said that he will abolish third-party appeal rights against development decisions. So these are very live issues in this campaign.
I want to turn to the issue of coal seam gas mining, which is also a very live issue in the campaign. You've announced a Mines for Minds policy, which would see half the revenue from coal seam gas mining royalties put into an education trust to help fund scholarships for high school students to study overseas. That all sounds great, but what are you doing about the concerns farmers, environmentalists and many Queenslanders have about the impact of coal seam gas mining on agricultural land?
Well, we're doing a number of things, David. Firstly, our government has put in place world-first laws that will protect our best agricultural land from mining and development that would make the use of that land by agriculture impossible. So the best of our best has been protected in legislation that is an Australian first, and as far as we can see around the world, we can't see anything else like it. These companies are subject to the most rigorous environmental conditions of any resource company anywhere in Australia. I should say coal seam gas is not new in Queensland. We've been using it to produce our own domestic gas and electricity for some 15 years, and it now produces about 18% of all Queensland's electricity. So we've actually got a very long history of this without environmental incident. However, we are about to see a very big expansion of it as it becomes an export industry. So I can understand that people have got questions.
Basically, there's no change in the current regulatory environment.
Well, we did announce last year that we would be putting some financial levies on the industry, which haven't gone through the Parliament yet because we're in caretaker, that will require those companies to pay for a whole lot of work on monitoring groundwater, which is one of the concerns that people have. As I say, we have quite a lot of experience now. This is not a new industry in Queensland. Not only a lot of experience, but a lot of years of proving that this can be done without environmental effect and produce electricity that is 70% cleaner than electricity produced from coal. But I don't dismiss the questions that people have. This is a very big expansion, and I can understand why people would have questions. That's a good thing that they're talking about this. And we've got, I think, more and more work to be done to make sure that people understand this new industry. It does give us a much, much cleaner form of electricity, but of course we've got to get it right, and I think we've got a long history of doing just that.
And a final question, Premier Bligh. You have campaigned strongly on Labor's economic record, which is built in part on $14 billion worth of asset sales. Will there be any more asset sales if you are re-elected? Can you give an assurance to voters one way or the other on that?
Well, David, we went to the last election campaign in the middle of the global financial crisis. It was a time of extreme economic uncertainty, and we had to make some very tough decisions to keep people in jobs, and that's what we did. At that time, we went through every single one of our assets and made a very strategic decision. We've made that decision. We've already indicated we don't have any intention of revisiting it, and nor do I believe there is a need to, given the economic sunshine that is coming our way.
All right, Premier Anna Bligh, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.